After Zeus and his brothers had defeated the Titans, there were new enemies on the earth. They were giants. They did have names and they were monstrous. Some of them had 100 arms, breathing fire, horrific beasts. They were finally defeated by Zeus, and he locked them up under Mount Etna. They still struggle to get loose, and this is the explanation for earthquakes, and sometimes their breath comes up, and this is the eruption of a volcano. When these giants fell, they shook the earth so much that Hades was frightened that the underworld would actually be opened up and would see the light of day. So he decided to pop out of the underworld and do an inspection of the damage. When he was flying around, Aphrodite and her son Cupid saw him. So as they're watching Hades fly around, she gives her son a talk, and she says, "Why should he be outside of your grasp, young son? Why should he alone escape? Look at these other women, Diana, and now this Persephone, who aren't in love or aren't taken by love. Why don't you do something about this, my son? Do you have any regard for your interest or mine? Join these." So yeah, she's a love bug. So Cupid unbound his quiver and shot Hades straight through the heart, and he fell in love with Persephone. Hades captures Persephone. She's in a field picking lilies and violets, and he just grabbed her right up and flew off. So now they're on their way to the underworld, and the way he gets there is by opening up a hole in the earth. But when he reached a certain river, the river spirit didn't want to, so he forced his way in. Demeter, Persephone's mother, was looking for her everywhere. She was incredibly distraught, and she's searching for days and nights. The number is 9. She's in the sun and the moon, stands in the rain, and she is absolutely dismayed. She goes to a place where there's an old man. His name is Celeus, and he's just a forager. And he's picking up acorns and blackberries and sticks for fires. And he has a little family. So his little girl's coming home with the goats. And she sees the goddess, who is in the form of an old woman. She says, "Mother." And Demeter is immediately, feeling so sad. And the little girl says, "Why do you sit here alone upon the rocks?" So the old man stops, and he begs her to come into their cottage. So she said no, but he urged her. She said, "Go in peace," she replied, "and be happy in your daughter. I have lost mine." Gods can't cry, but something like tears came down from her face. The compassionate old man and his child cried with her, and they said, "Come with us, and despise not our humble roof. So may your daughter be restored to you in safety." Demeter replies, "Lead on. I cannot resist that appeal." So on the way back, the father tells Demeter that he has a sick boy. So what she does is pick some poppies. When they get to the house, they're greeted warmly by the mother. It's a very humble family. Demeter sees the sick boy and goes over to him and kisses him. He immediately regains his health, and this poor family is in disbelief. But they were extremely elated. So, of course, let's prepare what we can. Let's have a feast. And while this is happening, Demeter mixes the poppy juice with some milk. And when nighttime came, she took the boy, molded his limbs with her hands, and did kind of an enchantment over him. She was on her way to lay him in the ashes of the fire, and his mother, of course, sprang forward and grabbed the boy. At this moment, Demeter assumes her divine form. Everyone's shocked. Demeter says to the mom, "Mother, you have been cruel in your fondness to your son. I would have made him immortal, but you have frustrated my attempt. Nevertheless, he shall be great and useful. He shall teach men the use of the plow and the rewards which labor can win from cultivated soil." Demeter continues her search, and she ends up back kind of where she started, in Sicily. And she's standing by the banks of the river where Hades was able to get back into the underworld. She sees the hole, essentially, and she blames soil. And she says, "Ungrateful soil, which I have endowed with fertility and clothed with herbage and nourishing grain. No more shall you enjoy my favors. So then cows are dying, seeds fail, and there was too much sun, too much rain. Only brambles were growing. So seeing the destruction around her, a water nymph gets an audience with Demeter. And she says actually that she's seen what's happened. It's a long story where she was there when the event happened, and the goddess Diana turned her into a stream, and as she was a stream flowing through the underworld, she caught a glimpse of Persephone wed to Hades, and she's come up and she's just saying first-hand account that she's seen it. She described Persephone. She said she was sad, but no longer showing alarm in her countenance. Her look was such as became a queen, the queen of Erebus, the powerful bride of the monarch of the realms of the dead. So Demeter stands there looking stupefied, and she immediately goes to heaven to talk to Jupiter. There, she told him of the story and implored him to procure restitution for her daughter. He consented, but he said only if she hadn't eaten any food in the underworld. Otherwise, she would not be able to come back. He sends Hermes, and he demands Persephone from Hades. So Hades consents, but she had eaten some pomegranates that he gave her, and this was enough to prevent her complete release from the underworld. But they made a compromise where she was to pass half the time with her mother and the rest with Hades. Demeter was able to accept this arrangement and restored the earth to her favor. She didn't forget about her promise to Celeus and his son. The son's name is Triptolemus. So when the boy grew up, she taught him the use of the plow and how to sow seed. She took him in her chariot drawn by winged dragons through all the countries of the earth, imparting to mankind valuable grains and knowledge of agriculture. After his return, Triptolemus built a temple to Demeter in Eleusis and established the worship of the goddess under the name of the Eleusinian Mysteries, which, in the splendor and solemnity of their observance, surpassed all other religious celebrations among the Greeks.